Hello, hello, my friends. I can bet you guys have heard so many new terms in the market, and we have seen so many things happening on the Great Resignation, on the quiet quitting, and a lot of stuff has been happening. And seems that now we have this brand new term, quiet hiring. I will be completely honest with you guys. I'm still extremely confused about what does it mean, and this is what I'm bringing for you guys on this video here. We're gonna discuss a little bit about the quiet hiring term.
You've probably seen headlines about these workplace trends. First it was the Great Resignation, then quiet quitting. Well, that was 2022, and 2023 has a new buzzy workplace trend.
It's called quiet hiring.
Managers across multiple workplaces are trying out a process called, get this, quiet hiring.
Quiet hiring is really in the news right now. Quiet hiring is one of several trends that we've identified as potentially having a major impact in 2023 for the future of work. And some organizations, it's going to be a game changer. For some organizations, it might be one of our other trends that's more of a priority. It depends on where their biggest challenges are.
There's a difference is how you do it. If you do it the right way, perfect. If you do the wrong way with the wrong intentions, I say quiet hiring is not going to work. It's going to not have the employee engagement the way that you want to.
So with all the economic uncertainty going around, employers are looking at ways to fulfill their needs without actually having to commit to growing their workforce. One way of potentially doing that is what has been called quiet hiring.
Okay, just quick pause here, and this video has been running for, I don't know, 1 minute or so, and they still did not tell us what exactly is quiet hiring. I don't know. It's really strange. And from what those people they said, it is really scary, because one lady said, okay, if it's implemented right, that's gonna produce a good outcome. If it's implemented wrongly, then we won't get that employee engagement. And that sounds really confusing and weird, to say the least. I don't know. Maybe they will get to the point in the few sections. So let's see.
Quiet hiring is actually not a new concept. Companies have been using quiet hiring for years now to fill talent gaps.
Okay, I've never heard about this term previously. So if the companies, if they have been using this methodology or whatever it is, I have never heard of it until now. Just saying.
Basically means hiring short-term contractors or reassigning your existing employees to new positions or asking them to take additional responsibilities.
Fundamentally, we don't have enough talent right now. We don't have enough people to do the jobs we need. And even if we are eventually going to be able to hire them, the hiring timelines are very, very long. That's one of the major forces that started shaping quiet hiring.
I think there is a relationship and a trend almost between the Great Resignation, quiet quitting, and now quiet hiring. And I'm sure there'll be something quiet down the road. I think it's the evolution of how the workplace is changing and trying to adapt to the post-pandemic world.
Yeah, I can tell you guys, I'm quite confused with their explanations. So just trying to backtrack here a little bit. So that seems to be something that they just recycled and they are giving it a new name. What the lady said was that they have been doing it forever. It's not new, and it's basically hiring contractors or reassigning or retraining employees instead of hiring new people, which I agree. It has been happening for a very long time. But one thing that really bugged me was the other lady saying that there is a shortage of talent on the market. And I don't know if I agree with that. Actually, I don't agree with that. I would say that, yes, probably there is for certain areas. For example, if you talk about medicine, or I don't know, someone who wants to be a pilot or an astronaut, or I don't know, some crazy fields, of course, there will be a shortage, because the funnel to get to that point of to become a professional is so, the bar is so high that people will just fall off before getting to the point of graduating, or people just got out of the market before they get into a senior position, and so on and so forth. But For the vast majority of roles, that is not true.
Tech companies like Google, Amazon, and Microsoft have been laying off tens of thousands of workers. The larger economy, however, remains relatively strong. Demand for workers is high and unemployment is low. Many economists still think a recession could happen in 2020.
These layoffs, they have been happening, but the economy is still strong and there is still work to be done. Maybe there will be a recession now this year or next year, who knows? But right now, things look pretty normal.
2023, and companies are turning to quiet hiring as a way to trim costs ahead of a potential economic downturn.
So the way this trend works in relation to the broader economy is that it is the case that the economy is slowing down. So we have seen mixed economic signals, but there's no question about the economy slowing down, which makes employers hesitant to hire, but the work still needs to be done. So in that case, the employers are willing to lean on their current workforce a bit more in order to get the job done. There are parts of the job market right now where there are pretty severe labor shortages. Industries like healthcare is one of them. So in these industries where there are labor shortages, quiet hiring may be a way for employers to fulfill their needs.
It's incredibly expensive.
Yeah, just gonna do another quick stop here. And yes, as I said before, for example, medicine is a very specialized field. So there is no way to produce a new doctor or a new surgeon in 6 months. So people will usually study for, I don't know, maybe 6 years, 7 years, or God knows how many more years to get to a point where they can perform the profession on such a high level where they can save lives and, I don't know, make surgeries and, I don't know, do whatever it needs to be done. So for those specific fields, yes, maybe there is a shortage. And for example, some countries, what they do to solve this problem is to allow foreigners to come to the country and to be part of that workforce. Of course, there is a whole process or whole processes for these things to happen, but this is also a way to solve the problem.
To hire new talent, and it's a little bit cheaper to retrain existing talent that you have. And it's definitely a little bit cheaper to also do it with contractors if you design it correctly so that you're not breaking the law in terms of where you're classifying your workers. When we look at how much it costs to hire someone, say it's a replacement hire, you're looking at the impact on my team, but also on my managers and on my colleagues. There's a lost productivity as long as that position's open. The recruiting team and the hiring manager is going to spend, that's expensive time, doing the sourcing of candidates, the reviewing of applications, the interviewing, the conversations to make the decisions. And then you add in bringing in additional things. Maybe there's a relocation bonus, there's a signing bonus. It's expensive.
This is probably well targeted to the United States job market because they are talking about the sign-on bonus and relocation bonus and some legislations about contractors and temporary workers. Maybe it's time to review those laws and to review the market itself. And she also said that it's a little bit cheaper to retrain their own employees instead of getting someone from outside the company. Yeah, I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it is not. I don't know. I'll just believe her words on that. Maybe for these companies, the whole hiring process is lengthy and costly. Maybe there is an opportunity here to make this process more lean. Try to force some legislation changes as well, because it's quite hard for a company to thrive without proper talent as their workforce.
Location bonus, there's a signing bonus. It's expensive.
There can be many negative attributions to the idea of quiet hiring, such as you're effectively causing people to work harder for no change in their compensation. And I don't doubt that there are instances of that. I don't think that's the most important part of the phenomenon.
I think it's labor abuse and wage theft when not done the right way. Let's put it an example. If you are busy and if you are cross-training your employees left and right. You are literally cross-training them for 4 or 5 roles. Wearing multiple hats and then paying one salary? No, it's not going to work. How about you go back and see the root cause of why you're trying to cross-train the employees? How about you are not forecasting those headcounts? Whose fault is it? It's a resources planning? It's a workforce planning? So let's go back and hold the leadership team accountable.
It's really weird how they put those things. She said, and people said previously that there is layoffs, but the economy is still going strong, and they still need people to work, but there is also shortage of talent. I would say that for some fields, yes, not for all fields. And now, whenever they are trying to implement the quiet hiring, so people should be aware of these pitfalls, because it's not simply by retraining their own employees to assume new roles and work as for 4 or 5 people, but it's really hard for me to even grasp what they are trying to get at, because if there are people getting fired, of course, there is still work to be done in the company, and probably the same amount of work or even more, who knows, and the remaining people will still there, so they need to take over the existing work. So that's going to be a new workload for them. Even if they are retrained or if they get some extra training, they still have to carry on their normal or their current activities plus the new activities. So I don't know, I don't see a right way of doing this.
Are you backfilling it? I mean, why are you not paying them if you're backfilling it? It creates the burnt out for employees, and normally the high performer are the one who's going to take on that. They always go above and beyond, and this is why people are quitting.
If an organization isn't really thoughtful about how they do quiet hiring, there is absolutely a risk that you could end up worsening some of the diversity, particularly if, say, you're moving people into an opportunity that then gives them access to more leadership roles in the future. Have you thought about the diversity of the group that you're moving in there? From an equity perspective, are you making sure that the compensation that you're offering doesn't create inequity within the organization in terms of people with similar skills and similar responsibilities being paid differently?
It's still confusing to me about what she wants to get at. There is still this confusion about who is doing what, and if people will get a bigger workload, if they're still getting the same pay, or if they're gonna get a raise. But if they get a raise, so that's gonna be a kind of imbalance to the other workers. It is really confusing.
Hiring is smart business strategy, and as we look for the future, organizations need to understand where their talent sits in the organization so they can deploy that talent along the way as they continue to move their organization forward.
Quiet hiring is actually a great opportunity for employees because they get an opportunity to own their growth. They get an opportunity to invest in themselves, build a skill set, and actually bring that skill set and their diversity of thought into areas outside their purview or job responsibilities within an organization. It's also an opportunity for employees to accelerate their careers, because when would you get an opportunity to hop onto new responsibilities and take on new job roles, exhibit your impact?
I think it's going to be even more important going forward in this year and beyond.
But it's not clear to me why this trend of quiet hiring, or why do they gave this new name. These things they have been happening forever, as I can tell you guys. As far as for my experience inside the companies, if you want to take more responsibility, nobody's going to stop you for that. If you want to work more, work harder, if you want to go up to the ladder, nobody will probably stop you. I don't know, it's quite confusing to me about those topics they talk about here. Their explanation is all over the place. They talk about people getting a bigger workload, some pay gaps, some pay inequalities if you give more work and more money, and diversity, equity. It's really not clear to me where they want to get at to their explanations. It was really fun to hear their explanation about the new term quiet hiring. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video.